Have you ever wondered about the price of living the rock and roll dream? The fame, the fortune, the wild parties, but beneath it all, a dark reality. Some of the greatest rock legends burned out too soon, victims of their own excess. Their music changed the world, but their struggles behind the scenes tell a haunting story. Today, we're diving into the tragic fates of rock stars who died from drug overdoses.
Photograph and to having your likeness used in motion pictures and other...
If you were into the LA punk scene back in the late 70s, you knew Darby Crash. The Germs weren't just a band, they were a force, a revolution wrapped in chaos. Darby's lyrics cut through like a blade, and his stage presence? Electric. But on December 7th, 1980, Darby checked out just as his legend was beginning to burn bright. A heroin overdose at just 22. It was a tragic, almost poetic end for someone who saw the world as a battlefield. For those of us who loved his raw, unfiltered rage, it was a gut punch we never quite recovered from. Hillel Slovak wasn't just the guitarist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was the soul of their early sound, blending punk's rawness with the groove of funk in a way no one else could. Few know that he was also a talented visual artist, often channeling the same intensity into his paintings as he did his music. But despite the vibrant energy he brought to the stage, he struggled behind the scenes. On June 25, 1988, heroin claimed his life at just 26. His passing left a void, and fans and bandmates alike felt the weight of his absence. Hillel was their creative force, and without him, everything changed. Amy Winehouse, if you ever had the chance to hear her live, you'd know her voice didn't just sing, it bled. Her music was raw, like she poured her very soul into every lyric. But on July 23, 2011, the world lost that voice. She wasn't just another headline, she was a soul singer who lived her pain, and at 27, alcohol poisoning took her from us. It was the kind of loss that hits you in the gut. Those who understood her music felt it deeply. She sang our heartbreaks, but no one could save her from her own. If you caught Janis Joplin in the 60s, You knew she wasn't just performing. She was pouring her soul into every note. That voice was a force of nature. It could tear you apart and put you back together again. But on October 4th, 1970, she was gone. Heroin took her at 27. The girl who could set a stage on fire was suddenly just a memory. It was a shock that rippled through the music world. The loss of a spirit that burned too bright, too fast. Those of us who felt her music were left with an empty stage and a hole in our hearts. If you were into the West Coast ska punk scene in the 90s, Bradley Nowell was a name you couldn't ignore. Sublime wasn't just a band. It was a vibe, a mix of reggae, punk, and hip-hop that felt like a sunny day at the beach. Brad's voice carried that laid-back, soulful sound, but his lyrics, they told stories of a life lived on the edge. Tragically, on May 25, 1996, that edge caught up with him. A heroin overdose claimed his life at just 28, right before Sublime's big breakthrough. For those of us who loved his music, it felt like the sun suddenly went out. His passing left an emptiness, a sense that something truly special was lost too soon. Shannon Hoon wasn't just another frontman. He was a poet in flannel, a soul searching for meaning in a chaotic world. What many people don't know is that he was close friends with Axl Rose and even sang backup vocals on Don't Cry. Shannon's voice had this raw, ethereal quality, like he was channeling something from deep within, and when he was on stage, it felt like he was letting us into his universe. But on October 21st, 1995, his battle with addiction ended in tragedy. A cocaine overdose took him at just 28. For those of us who followed his journey, it felt like a light went out, a voice silenced before its time. If you were a fan of grunge in the 90s, Lane Staley was a voice you couldn't ignore. Alice in Chains had this haunting edge, and Lane's voice was the soul of it, dark, heavy, but so achingly beautiful. On April 5, 2002, the world found out Lane was gone, alone in his apartment, claimed by a speedball overdose at 34. It was a heartbreak that felt all too real for those of us who had connected to his music. Lane wasn't just a singer. He was a voice for the broken, and losing him felt like losing a part of ourselves. David Byron had a voice like no other, one that could reach heights most singers only dreamed of. As the original frontman of Uriah Heep, he wasn't just singing, he was leading epic, theatrical journeys with every performance. What many don't know is that David was instrumental in shaping the band's signature sound, blending progressive rock with a touch of heavy metal long before it became mainstream. But behind the curtain, his battle with alcohol was relentless. By February 28, 1985, that struggle caught up with him, and he passed away at just 38. For those who remember the power he brought to every song, his death was a stark reminder of how quickly things can change, even for someone who once seemed unstoppable. Think about punk in its purest, rawest form. Dee Dee Ramone was that energy incarnate. The Ramones wouldn't have been the same without his wild spirit and driving bass lines. He was the pulse that kept the band alive, gritty and relentless. But on June 5th, 2002, it all came crashing down. Heroin, the demon he had battled for years, finally won. Dee Dee left us at 50, and for those who felt every thump of his bass, it was like losing a part of the punk movement itself. His fire still echoes through every record, every stage he tore up. Remember the days when The Who would shake entire stadiums? If you were there, you'd know John Entwistle wasn't just any bassist. He was their foundation, a quiet force of nature holding the chaos together. His bass solos were like thunder, bold and unforgettable. But on June 27, 2002, the music world was rocked when he died of a cocaine-induced heart attack at 57. It felt like losing a pillar of rock itself. For fans like me who knew the power he brought to every live show, his absence was like a silence you could feel, an irreplaceable void. The stories of these rock legends remind us of the thin line between brilliance and tragedy. Their music lives on, echoing through time, but so does the haunting memory of their untimely ends. Which of these stories affected you the most? Let us know in the comments, and if you want more deep dives into the mysteries of rock history, make sure to subscribe. Keep rocking, and we hope to see you in our next video.